maybe there will be questions about who's going to be at the top of the ticket there, and it ain't going to be him. It'll be me if we run together. Kevin Willard leaving Maryland for Villanova. Speaking of the top of the ticket, he decides that he wants to cast his lot with Villanova rather than Maryland. Pete Thamel joins us now with this. We talked a little bit about this on Game Day yesterday. It's probably the worst kept secret in college basketball over the last few days. So how did it unfold that Willard is going to leave a really good job for another really good job?
Well, Reese, since Kevin Willard's March 21st press conference, where he pointed out fundamental changes that need to be made in Maryland basketball, this felt like an inevitability. The deal got hammered out late last night after the sides met yesterday. And for Villanova basketball pushing forward, Reese, this is a really big hire. They bring in a proven winner in the Big East. Look, Villanova has been on the front end of NIL. They built out a modern front office. They have a new athletic director, Eric Rodello, has a lot of basketball experience from his time at Oregon. They're going to take an Oregon football type mentality to Villanova basketball. So pushing forward for Villanova, a place where basketball is the only real focus of the athletic department, this is a big win. And it's clearly what Kevin Willard wanted, as he said over and over for the past 9 days.
No, look, I understand that. As a basketball coach, you go to a place like Villanova that's won championships recently. Basketball is their primary focus. Totally get the draw there. So now, what's next for Maryland?
Well, that's a great question, Reese. They're a little bit like a country music song right now. They lost their coach, they lost their AD, and they're going to be out searching in a drier market because they're coming in late in the cycle. There's really two paths they can take. They can mobilize some of that Big Ten and Under Armour money and go try to get a Final Four coach. You see Porter Moser there, you see Buzz Williams. Those have been two guys who believe to be gettable in this cycle. The other thing they can do is go local. Obviously, Tony Skinn has had a great run at George Mason and has deep ties there. And Dwayne Simpkins is a great former player who's really been at Maryland and shown promise as a young coach at American. The thought going with someone like Skinn or Simpkins is you could get the deal done quick and you could mobilize some of that money for players, which, as we move forward in this era of college basketball, becomes the priority.
All right, Pete, I know that you've been busy there in Indianapolis. What's the deal? We don't have a tie on today. What happened? Whose fault is that?
Couldn't help yourself.
It's Flory Badunga's fault, Reese.
Really?
Knowing you would chide me for not wearing a tie, I'd only packed one. I went to go get one yesterday, and the half an hour I allotted myself, Mr. Badunga decided to go in the portal. I thought I would be better served breaking that news and try and get some words to our news desk with the help of my friend Jeff Borzello than going to purchase a tie in Indianapolis. And the men's store I tried to go to is closed after I filed my story last night. So this is my dress of shame. I know no one appreciates being well dressed more than you. So no pocket square, no tie. I'm just flailing here.
Well, I mean, okay, Jay Will doesn't have a tie on, but we'll let that pass. See, no tie for Jay Will. Monochromatic look.
Yes.
Thanks, Jay.
But you're in Indianapolis, right?
I am.
Oh, you have Pat McAfee's number, right? You could have borrowed a bolo tie from him or something, right?
I saw Pat at the game the other night in the suite. Not surprisingly, he was wearing a tank top, Reese. So I don't really think anyone wants to see this gun show.
No. I mean, I'm not suggesting that, but he's had the bolo tie things a few times. You could pull that off.
True.
All right.
True.
Pete Thamel with the latest on Kevin Willard's move to Villanova and what Maryland might do in the aftermath. Seth, as you look at this right now, what do you think about? Nobody begrudges Willard moving, get it, but the way all of this unfolded, it's like it seemed inevitable over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and everyone's going to compare it to, well, players get chastised for moving school to school or putting their name in the portal at a certain time, and coaches can do it any time. And I agree with that. Here's my exception. Kevin Willard's going to pay a hefty, not a small, a hefty buyout when he moves to Villanova. Whether Villanova pays it or he pays it, someone is going to pay it. And that's why we need contracts in college basketball. We need 2-year contracts so we can get the portal under control and we can have some type of accountability and connection. Having said it, that's the right place for Kevin Willard.
Right, maybe so, but one might argue, Bill, sort of bring you in, one might argue then you have contracts, but apparently they don't mean anything. And again,
well,
I'm not saying
that's why you have a clause for buyout.
You end up buying it, but it doesn't.
That's why you have a
what I'm
contract.
saying is it doesn't limit the movement. So, I mean, I don't have any problem with Willard taking a job that he perceives to be better, that he feels like is going to give him a better chance to be successful at the way he defines success. I mean, it's, I don't have a problem with it at all, but it just seems an odd way it goes. What did you think of the way it all unfolded?
It's more of the same. What you heard from Kevin Willard from the podium in his press conferences was, I haven't talked to my agent. I don't know what's going on. So I don't know. He said the exact same thing when he was at Seton Hall and then went to Maryland. The exact same thing. This is the same playbook. And I hate to break this to coaches, but your agent is your representative. So whatever your agent is doing, you are doing. That's the way agency works. But to Seth's point, I don't have a problem with Kevin Willard making this move. That's great. Any coach should look to better himself or herself based upon the circumstances and based upon business. These are business decisions. But one thing you don't hear from the NCAA literati, from the administrators, from Charlie Baker, you don't hear tampering. Nobody's saying there was tampering here. This is a coach under contract that a member institution tampered with without permission from the University of Maryland. You don't hear about loyalty. Where was Kevin Willard's loyalty here? He made a decision to go to Maryland and signed a long-term contract. Where's the commitment that we hear on the part of players? And what about going through adversity? Like, he didn't want to go through adversity, the adversity of, he couldn't stay in New York for an extra day. Like, come on, man. We say all this stuff about players, but we don't apply that to coaches. That's a contradiction to the point of hypocrisy. I'm not saying, hey, don't go. Go ahead. But let's not apply these ridiculous rules to the players. It's just not right. And Seth's right. I've been saying this for over a decade now. Sign the players to contracts. Negotiate with at arm's length with the players, or negotiate a collective bargaining agreement. And one last thing. I'm also tired of the excuses from Pete Thamel. Like, Pete Thamel had a tie. He chose not to wear it. And now he's blaming a haberdashery in Indianapolis. That is similarly unacceptable.
I got to follow the news. Nobody cares about how I dress. They only care about the information. So that's where my loyalty is always going to lie, Jay.
Let's swing my last word.
What, did you spill food on it? Did you spill food on that tie?
I think Reese would be more critical if I wore the same tie 2 days in a row. That was really what this came down to.
You should have taken a chance of whether I would have actually noticed.
Exactly.
Yeah, so let's go back to Willard here real quick. I want to give you a last word here on this.
Yeah, look, I understand what Jay's talking about, but that's why you have buyouts in your contract, 100%. As a coach, they can fire you, they have to pay you. As administrators has to pay you. As a coach, if you take another job, you have a buyout and you fulfill your obligation to your contract.
Quick word here. You get.
I mean, I just want to see, now I want to see Maryland and Villanova play next year. That's what I want to see. Whenever this happens, put that on the schedule.
That's right.
Okay?
That should be a mandatory schedule.
Exactly. That should be part of the buyout. Yes, it should be.